What's up, guys? I'm excited to bring you the first video of Ultra League here. Ultra League Premier, I guess. I do have some plans about trying some open Ultra teams in the future, but who knows how well those will go. So anyways, I had a lot of success with a triple counter team in Open Great League, so I figured I would give it a go in Master Premier just because a lot of the stronger Pokemon, in my opinion, in this league, a lot of the bulkier Pokemon have a weakness to fighting, so just being able to kind of exclude those as being threats to your team is kind of a big deal. But yeah, this team has worked very well so far. I'll get into the, first of all, shout out to my Patreon supporters, of course, as usual, and then I'll get right into this gameplay here. So we can talk a little bit about this team. So I ran it for 2 days. I only think I had one negative set. Other than that, it's just been all gains, not big gains or anything. I haven't had any 5-0s, but just solid 3-2s and 4-1s the whole way through. This team, the theory behind it is you swap in the Escav and a neutral lead to try and bait out their fighter so that Obstagoon can sweep at the end. And Toxicroak obviously is the premier counter user, taking down other fighters, so that's why we have Toxicroak in the lead here. I used to run Mega Horn. Let's talk about movesets. I was running Mega Horn on Escav, but I just found I wasn't really being able to use it that well. I needed Aerial Ace almost every time. The only advantage is versus this Venusaur matchup, the Mega Horn does more damage, so you don't actually have to throw the second move. And then on Obstagoon, which is the other contentious moveset choice, and I'm taking Cross Chop over Gunk Shot, just because a lot of the times when my Goon comes in, it's protected already, so it doesn't really need to have that fairy coverage. You're going to see that some of that might be a little bit of a lie as we look through these videos. Togekiss is the worst Pokemon to face on this team. It really becomes a bait game, and if you don't get the bait correctly, you're probably not going to win, which is very unfortunate. I have beaten Togekiss before, but it's by far the biggest kryptonite for this team. So pretty much Pokemon, for example, like this Magnezone, can't really come in on any Pokemon in this team, so they're eventually kind of rendered a bit useless here. You'll see that Confusion deals a ton of damage to Toxicroak, but the charge moves don't really, so honestly, a play a lot of the time is to try and catch that close combat if they've been charging up on your Obstagoon, because your Goon is really the best way to deal with this Gallade, unfortunately. But yeah, let's get into some gameplay of this team. You guys probably see I run a lot of the same Pokemon generally in Ultra League Premier, but I powered up an Escav and an Obstagoon for this, so I'm very excited to get to use these finally. They should be sitting there. So Escav lead. Obviously, this is not actually that good of a lead. Versus Toxicroak, you do have to shield the Drill Run, and I'm counting my moves just to make sure they're not going to get to another Drill Run. But I am able to win the lead with a comfortable amount of health and a decent amount of energy, so this is a pretty good position. And they're actually going to come in with a Alolan Muck. So at this point, I feel really good about this game. Either they've completely misclicked or the game is over. And yeah, they're just going to leave, because not only do they only have, like, that's their best answer for a counter user, but I have 2 more counter users in the back. So that was feeling very comfortable, unless it was something like a Togekiss in the back. There's no win condition for them there. All right, so we're gonna see a Snorlax lead, more good leads, and they're gonna pop in with the Kingdra. So Kingdra's a bit of a tricky one. You don't have a Pokemon that just beats it. I like to bait versus Kingdra. They almost always shield if you get it in before Okazuka. So we're gonna get that bait off. I debate taking the Okazuka. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I shield it and then swap out to clear any debuffs and swap into my Goon. So if there's an opportunity to swap into Goon, it's good to take it. Just because Goon is one of those Pokemon that can be farmed down really easily by a fighting type. So you do really have to play around shielding it, or play around giving it a bit of sheltered time. And unfortunately, we're going to see Togekiss. So it's kind of good that the Togekiss is coming out now. But my Toxicroak is already at half health. And is probably going to be unable to make it to much more than a Sludge Bomb here. But unfortunately, it is my only hope. And if I bait here, I won't be able to get the second Sludge Bomb. So this really becomes a mind game. If they let the Sludge Bomb through, it's very easy to beat these Togekisses. And we have a Shadow Snorlax come in. So I guess this was their lead, right? So even though they have a Togekiss, this game isn't quite over yet. It's still very tough, but I realized that I do need to save my my shields for this Escav. The other thing is, I was kind of hoping that they would superpower and take down my Escav, and then I could farm down with Toxicroak, but it just was not meant to be. I get really close to getting to that aerial ace, but unfortunately I'm not quite able to pull it off. And as you can see, Togekiss just demolishes this team if not taken care of properly. Even if with Gunk Shot on Obstagoon, this game it wouldn't have made a difference. The other Charmers are not too bad because Drill Run, it's pretty hard, and Counter isn't double resisted, right? It's just single resisted versus things like Granbull and Clefable. So once again, Abomasnow, absolutely no play versus this team. You love to see it. And Ampharos comes in, so despite having super effective move versus Ampharos, you do not win as Toxicroak. And this is something I've been learning recently. Usually I've been swapping out, but Toxicroak might actually be the best counter here. So unfortunately, I've got to blow both my shields to try and take down this Ampharos. And I'm banking some energy for later, and I swap into the Obstagoon, which is the Pokemon I care least about in terms of its HP to tank a move, and they're going to come back in with Abomasnow. So this is a good sign for me. They're going to come in with Abomasnow and Obstagoon. That means what they likely have in the back isn't very good against fighting types, and therefore counter users. But I'm going to be able to get to that all-important cross chop. And they're going to swap into Dragonite. So a little bit of a wrong read here, but I do have energy on my Toxicroak. And we're going to go for the bait play just because they know I have a lot. I know I have a lot, and I just need to get a Sludge Bomb off. That's the reason I went for the bait there. It's either I get that Sludge Bomb and then a Mud Bomb off, which they're never going to shield the second one, or I'm able to get the Sludge Bomb off here. So they're going to be able to take me down, and Escav versus Dragonite is pretty good for Escav. You just have to watch out for the Hurricane. But there's no way they're beating me to a Hurricane. As I'm running Aerial Ace, counter has higher energy per turn than Dragon Breath does while dealing the same amount of damage. It is an absolutely insane move. Counter is honestly pretty broken, but as long as they keep it this good, I'm fine running these triple counter teams and keeping the steel types away. So we're going to see a Scizor lead here. Once again, this is pretty good, especially since it's running Fury Cutter versus my Toxicroak. I decided to shield the first one because they're least likely to bait, and Iron Head does actually quite a bit of damage. Because we've CMP tied, though, I really don't mind just getting this extra bit of damage or trading shields. And if you look at how much HP my Toxicroak has compared to their Scizor, you can see why they swapped out, even after just trading shields. So versus the Swampert, I don't really have a better answer than Toxicroak. I think in hindsight, I probably should have swapped out. But the thing is, Escav, for example, without Megahorn doesn't beat Swampert in the one shield. And Goon has some troubles, obviously, as well. But Goon is probably the better bet. I probably should have swapped faster my Goon into the Swampert just to preserve my Toxicroak a little bit more. So Alolan Muck comes back in, and the entire team, once again, is absolutely amazing versus Alolan Muck. I really don't even feel the need to shield here. And yeah, it doesn't even KO, so I'm able to get to another cross chop even. But honestly, that's maybe not even better. I'd rather start getting energy on a Pokemon that can use it. Say like this, like Toxicroak. Honestly, I might even let it go down at this point because I have the Escav as well. And this is just a free farm for the Escav. So bring in the Escav, and this will likely be the most damage of any move that's coming in. So I don't mind spending a shield on a Dark Pulse. Especially because I know they have a Scizor in the back, and it's just all about getting these charge moves off. Yeah, this game has been over for a little bit, but they elect to stay in, which is fine. Yeah, like these nice slashes do add up, but you don't outpace fast enough. I'm revealing my full moveset for the flex, of course. You gotta flex when you can. And we're gonna be able to take out their last two Pokemon. So yeah, Escav has been really interesting. It's it reminds me a little bit of a not so tanky Deoxys defense, right? Like you have 3 moves, none of which are stab, and great defensive typing, and then you just go ham. And Aerial isn't even a good move. We're seeing a Gengar lead. Gengar lead is very tough for this team. You really want it lined up with Goon, but that's obviously not always possible. So I'm going to throw the Mud Bomb to get a shield. I'm going to bank on the fact that since they're a lead, they are just running Shadow Punch and Sludge Bomb. And I'm going to swap into Escav. So, yeah, this is probably the worst switch in for Escav. The only one where I would say you're truly hard countered is the Charizard. And you're able to be farmed all the way down. And unfortunately, I'm going to go into my Toxicroak to kind of sack it here, because I realize I need my Obstagoon for this Drifblim. Sorry, Gengar. Both ghost types, but completely different. After shielding this Blast Burn, I'm going to try and farm all the way down, because I don't want this Gengar getting to a Sludge Bomb, for example. So I'm going to have to shield yet another Blast Burn, but I'll have enough energy coming out of this matchup. They let me farm them down instead of switching out, so it works for me. They threw a Shadow Punch, so they shouldn't have too much energy, but they're able to catch this Night Slash on Venusaur, and at this point the game is over, unless I get some massive boosts. But I stay in just to in case I do win the lottery, the boost lottery. But it doesn't seem like this game on this day I was really in the favor of the boost gods. Yeah, but you can see how much damage Obstagoon does even without the boost, right? I almost took out this Venusaur, because they knew they had to get to 2, but obviously their Gengar can just come in and Shadow Punch and finish that game there. So yeah, tough game, but this is what happens when you lose the lead and then you lose the switch in pretty badly. Okay, Toxicroak lead. This is the toughest and most mechanical lead there is to play. And when I say toughest, I don't mean like a worse for your game outlook chances. I mean, you need to be on top of your game mechanically. You need to be fast move denying. Especially my Toxicroak loses to most other Toxicroaks in CMP. I need to have those extra counters, which I think I got through there. Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. They get to throw here first as well. The thing is, if you don't get ahead and you think you're going to lose CMP, you do have to switch out. So they don't switch out here, or they do switch out here, and they switch on to Lapras. So this is making me think this is the Toxicroak Lapras Snorlax team. And the best part about this is usually what happens with Toxicroak, when you're leading Toxicroak, you're usually running Pokemon that are weak to fighting in the back. So for example, this team, Escav and Obstagoon, both don't do well against fighting types. On their team, Lapras and Snorlax, they don't do well against fighting types, right? That's why you have the Toxicroak. It's the premier lead at taking out those fighting types. But the thing is, in these mirror matchups, I'm running 2 counter users in the back as well. So even though they don't like fighting types themselves, they still deal an absolute ton of damage. So even in these Toxicroak mirrors, if your Toxicroak does go down, you still have a pretty good chance, just because you have counter users in the back to deal with the Pokemon that their Toxicroak is trying to protect. So that's a little part of the team that I really like as well. Obviously, in this case, I did manage to get my fast move denial off and force them to switch out, so it was a much easier game. But in the past, I had let my Toxicroak go down in the lead matchup. I didn't even try and catch or anything, just because I knew that my backline would probably be able to deal with theirs. So yeah, pretty straightforward win once you recognize that. Okay, we have a Alolan Raichu in the lead, and they're just going to go for Thunder Punch. No trying to go to Psychic to bait me or anything, so I will let that through, no problem. And just get a Mud Bomb off. So at this point, I really don't mind switching either, just because every Pokemon on my team does pretty well against this Raichu. And this is exactly how the game should work out, right? You swap in, and you bait out their fighter. So in comes Shadow Machamp, and guess what? They have to throw a move, or they lose switch advantage. Actually, in this case, I decide to shield or cross chop and take switch advantage into the next matchup with a ton of energy. Unfortunately, they win CMP, so I'm not sure if they're supposed to win CMP. Maybe I just didn't click it, or I missed the button or something. But obviously, I would have loved to get that drill run off, but I realized, hey, Escav is not my MVP here. I don't need that drill run. So I kind of miscounted here a couple times, and I kept charging up. But now I have a lot of energy in this Obstagoon. They're gonna let their Alolan Raichu go down, but the thing is, Obstagoon with energy is pretty scary as well. Like Cross Chop isn't the hardest hitting move, but Cross Chop Night Slash give you very good coverage against pretty much everything that's not fairy in the meta. And I'll switch out here. Just get these counters, and I don't want to get farmed all the way down. That's my only lost condition, is if this Abomasnow gets to 2 Weather Balls, right? So we'll take that that win by playing it the easy way. So yeah, this team seems to have just a lot of Pokemon that really don't have any play against it. Obstagoon's one of them too, right? So Obstagoon in the lead, and they swap into Venusaur. So I've started switching right away. I think there might be some merit to staying in a little bit or switching, like throw a Mud Bomb and have them no shield it, because then you don't have to throw the second Aerial Ace. But I still do have to tinker around with that a little bit. I don't know this matchup as well as I should, because I was running Mega Horn for a bit first too, right? And you throw the Mega Horn and then farm down, which is the much easier scenario. But right now, yeah, like you got to count moves, and I'm throwing this Aerial Ace right before their Frenzy Plant, so that they have to make the decision to either shield or I win the no shield. And they're going to come in with Charizard, so yep, that happened. Charizard just deleted the Escav. But because I know they have a Goon in the back, and Toxicroak is just such a dominating matchup versus the Goon, I really just need to spend my shields on my own Obstagoon to beat this Charizard. Once this Charizard is down, this game is incredibly easy. So this entire time, I'm kind of worried they're going to try and catch, so I'm timing my fast moves so they can't. So I'm not sure if maybe they were trying to catch, but I was timing my fast moves correctly so that they did not have that window to switch out. We'll never know until we talk to my opponent. But see, I'm throwing 4 counters, and then because I'm throwing 4 or 1, they can't switch out because they're locked into that last little bit of their Fire Spin. But Charizard apparently does win the straight 2 shield going Blast Burn, which is completely fine for me. Their Obstagoon is going to come back in, and I'm not sure exactly what moveset they're running, but if it's Hyper Beam, I want to take them out as soon as possible, right? So throw the Sludge Bomb. And I think they're going to reveal to me that they're just running Cross Chop here. So it's a pretty safe game. I think they did really need to try and mess around and swap in their Goon to try and get something there, but they know that their Goon is just going to get farmed down. So it's a tough situation for that team for sure. But like that's what this team is all about. It's all about putting your opponents in really tough situations to play out of. I want the easy games, not the hard games. That's not true. Hard games are fun too, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm just going to throw straight Mud Bombs versus this Swampert, and I swap right away to Escav in hopes that they'll switch out. And they come in with Dragon Breath Gyarados. So this is an interesting team already. I'm wondering if we're going to see a triple water with double Dragon in the back. But the thing is with Dragon Breath Gyarados is it doesn't really beat Escav all that badly, right? Like this, so this is what I'm saying about Escav being a pretty good safe switch. If you're running Mega Horn, you lose this much harder. So this is one of those matchups where, honestly, it's probably better not to. I decided to spend a shield to get switch advantage here, which is a bit risky because neither of my Pokemon do very well against this Swampert. But we are even on shields. Swampert just has a ton of energy, and here they come in with the Dragonite. So I was right, double Dragon, but not the Dragon I was looking for. Unfortunately, this Shadow Dragonite is a problem to the team, and they had no Pokemon weak to fighting, which means there was no real easy way for me to come in on this. Ooh, this is rough. And in hindsight, I maybe should have shielded that, but they still have a shield anyway. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get a little bit too low, and Swampert is going to be able to finish me off here with a Mud Shot. So yeah, if I had just taken a little bit less damage, that game was very winnable, despite, as I mentioned, right, double Flyer and Swampert, which is one of the tougher comps for this, just because everything kind of resists counter except for Swampert, which outpaces every single one of your Pokemon. So Toxicroak lead. Let's see how we do in this fast move denial. So I get my move through, which is very important. If you never get your moves through, fast move denial only evens the playing field, and I deny that move. So now I'm ahead by 1. I do believe I give it back later though. Yeah, so you can see I don't tap my screen very well after that fast move denial. I make mistakes too. So we're back at the same pace. And I think I lagged a little bit there. But we're at the same pace, and I just go for the CMP tie. and they switch out. But this is fine, right? It's a Porygon 2. I decided to stay in for a little bit, really farm up some energy because I want to outpace that Toxicroak again. And we'll see what this Porygon is running. I don't really know Porygon's moveset. I know it can learn Tri-Attack now, but it is running Zap Cannon, so I feel like that's probably the only charge move I'll be taking there. And Toxicroak comes back out, so I have 2 Cross Chop stored, or sorry, Night Slashes stored, and I'm just going to throw both of them. It's really bad if my Obstagoon gets farmed down, but it's much better for me to eliminate that threat. And look, they've got double fighting weakness. I didn't even have to show my Escav in the back. But yeah, that game was quite over, right? So these teams with double fighting weakness, you've got triple counter. There's not much they can do about that, right? So it's just what happens when fighting is a really good offensive type and they give it the best fast move in the game. We see Dragonite lead here. This is pretty rough. I stay in for a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I want to go for a charge move. In hindsight, I probably should just swap right away into the Escav. Because Escav does fine. Or try to catch a Dragon Claw on the Escav. But I do get a shield. So I have shield advantage right now. And they decide to stay in with the Dragonite. So I feel like something's up. They're probably charging up to a Hurricane or something like that. And that's the one thing that you can't really take as Escav. So I'll spend my shield back. Switch timers are way out to lunch right now. And they're going to swap in Venusaur. So this is a very interesting switch. And it feels like their team doesn't really have anything that deals with Escav at all. So I wonder if the Pokemon in the back is perhaps something like a Tangrowth or something like that. They're running the Double Grass team. But they also Sludge Bomb my Escav, which is not the play. Frenzy Plant does more damage, guys. If you're going to use it, they're both double resisted on Escav. So if you're going to use a move, use Frenzy Plant. And I think they're about to do that here. And I think they undercharge that. But I'm just going to go back in with my Toxicroak, I think. Oh no, with my Goon. And catch that Frenzy Plant on my Toxicroak. I was counting in the game. I'm not counting now. So that catch actually was very important because now they have this Snorlax here. And Snorlax with Superpower. I'm not sure if it one-shots. I'm not sure how much damage it does at all. But once I get to that second cross chop, I know I win CMP, so I just need to press that cross chop button twice, even though they're going to get a charge move in there, right? Because they're like, oh my god, he's throwing, I better throw now too. I'm going to CMP tie this one, right? So they're not going to be able to get their second move off, despite the fact that they're at a superpower. And I believe their Dragonite is a bit too low to come back in and do anything. Same with their Venusaur, and they're just going to GG out of there. So same thing, right? Like, it seems like you're in a tough position with that Dragonite lead, but then they just have one Pokemon weak to fighting in the back, and you're back... back on even ground, I guess. This next match versus Jartavia, we're going to see a Togekiss lead. Oh my god. So here we go. It's Air Slash, which is actually even worse for this team, surprisingly. But I'm going to bait with the Mud Bomb. And they get the shield. This is much better versus Charm because they won't throw their move, but I need to shield back. And they throw Aerial Ace. And then I'm going to have to throw my Sludge Bomb here and see if I can get the second shield. So this is the way you need to play it. Get 2 shields off the Togekiss. A lot of the times, they'll just let the Sludge Bomb through too. If you can get rid of the Togekiss with your Toxicroak, it's obviously much better. I burned a shield because I thought they had Flamethrower, but very clearly that isn't the case anymore. It would have been nice to have kept that shield. But really, I just need to throw these Aerial Aces as fast as I can. I'm just really hoping at this point they don't have Flamethrower. Which they don't. They keep going for the Ace. And I'm just throwing my Aerial Ace as fast as I can to get rid of this thing. It's incredibly annoying, and they have a fighter in the back. So at this point, this is completely over, right? Togekiss lead with a fighter in the back is, I want to say, unwinnable. Because to beat the Togekiss, your Toxicroak will be too low to take on the fighter even, right? So I would go as far as to say that that game is unwinnable. Other Togekiss leads, you have a pretty good chance against. Other Charmer leads, you have a very good chance against. Togekiss lead with Shadow Machamp in the back, unwinnable. Alright, so we have Tangrowth lead. A lot of these Tangrowth leads, they love to stay in and just win shield advantage. But that's the thing with Toxicroak, is Toxicroak will not let your Tangrowth win shield advantage. Because if you just throw Sludge Bomb, it is usually unlikely that they will shield, because if their goal is to gain shield advantage, they're not going to shield. And I have a decent amount of energy for whatever comes in next. So you just have to be ready to quick swap versus those Gallades. Gallade is very annoying for this team. But once again, you can kind of wear it down with Escav, for example. So I really should have shielded this. In hindsight, that was a really dumb thing to not shield. Just because the switch timer is a bit out of whack. And I realized that. You can see me waiting for so long. But they stay in. And this time, I get baited. So we'll see what happens here. They swap into Empoleon, which is pretty good. It's essentially a free farm down. And in hindsight, I really should have even swapped to my Toxicroak to farm this Pokemon down. But instead, I don't want it to get to a move. And I think that my Goon can outpace this Gallade to 2 charge moves. And I do still have a Toxicroak as well to catch a move with if I really do need to. And I don't know why I didn't shield that. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't shield that. Seems needlessly risky, but I guess I was tired of being baited by Leaf Blades. Yeah, and you guys are going to see in this the last set. We're not on the last set yet, but we're going to see some tilt. I should have probably 5-0'd that set, but I played very poorly and had a little bit of lag that kind of ruined everything. But see Lapras lead here too. And I was waiting for them to switch out, but Tangrowth is probably not the switch in they wanted, right? Like this is not what you want to see on your Tangrowth. You swap in and immediately, there we go. This is the... Toxicroak can just get you some easy games sometimes. Like, the unique typing of Toxicroak is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, we're going to have another 4-1 here. Just climbing really quickly all the way back up after dropping, using some maybe 2 spicy teams. Or some teams I definitely I could not make work in Great League. Well, we have the Kingdra lead again. Like I said, usually like to bait that first one. They really can't afford to let that Sludge Bomb through, right? It deals so much damage. So get the bait off and shield the Octazooka, unfortunately, and then swap out. And so they swap into Ampharos. So this is an interesting switch as well, because sure, in the 2 shield, I think Ampharos wins because you outpace to the drill run. But in the 1 shield, Escav can take a Thunder Punch. So because Escav can take a Thunder Punch, it's going to get to another drill run. And they actually threw an extra Volt Switch. I don't think they needed that one for the other Thunder Punch. So this is nice that I'm erasing their energy as well. They're going to come in with Skarm. I have a shield advantage, so Goon versus Skarm is actually not too bad. They only went to 5, so I'm fine with no shielding Sky Attack. I think their win conditioning is landing a Brave Bird on me. But I'm just going to start counting my fast moves just so that they can't switch out on, like, switch out and catch a move. So I'm going to swap there to catch an Octazooka on Toxicroak. And I can't quite get to that Mud Bomb. But Obstagoon has moves ready. So I'm glad I saved them. Higher chance of getting the boost, which I do get. And we will see how many more boosts I will get here. I don't think the boost was necessary here. I just needed to yeah, get the double boost. Saving them all up for this game. I don't think the boost was necessary to win there. I would just need to get to 2 Night Slashes and I had a shield still, right? So in my opinion, that would have been decently comfortable. But interesting to see all these XL Pokemon out, right? It's a XL Skarmory. We have a Gengar lead as well. Like I said, not the greatest. And then the counter swap into Shadow Machamp as well. So, I mean, they're throwing their energy at least, which is good. And this situation isn't all too bad, right? Because Escav has baited this Machamp out. This Machamp is now farm for Toxicroak. And Toxicroak with energy really threatens Gengar. And I'm able to get a shield with Escav, right? So now I'm going to be able to farm all the way down. I have shield advantage, so I have 2 shields. It's their 1. And I have a loaded Mud Bomb, which they swap in Swampert. So, fortunately, my plan was ruined. But little do they know that I have a Goon in the back, right? So, all I need to do is just let this Toxicroak go down. Can't let the Swampert have too much energy, right? And we'll bring in the Goon. So yeah, Gengar, Swampert, Machamp are all Pokemon that this team doesn't really deal well with. But yet you're still able to be competitive in these games, right? And yeah, they're going to swap into Gengar. I don't want to take any of this. I don't want to have to deal with shielding a Sludge Bomb or something like that. But they do get to a move, and I decide to shield just because I think I can deal with that Swampert anyways. With a Night Slasher too. Yeah. There's no way they're making it to an Earthquake, and an Earthquake doesn't one-shot anyways. So. Despite the awful lead and the awful switch, relatively straightforward game, right? You just got to play your energy well, and like this team didn't have a Pokemon that was weak to fighting either, so still able to beat those. And there aren't that many teams out there without teams weak to fighting. So Empoleon lead, like I said, usually comes with a Gallade. I swapped really slow because I'm still trying to figure out the best Pokemon to deal with Gallade in the switch-in. Oh, this game. Okay, so this was an awful game. I shield the first, and it's a Leaf Blade. And I shield the second. So, close combat. So this is fine. I think I can farm all the way down. And then, we have this happen. So like happens, they're somehow at their move now. And I'm going to take the close combat and faint. So switch advantage, extremely important in this game. Extremely important, because they have a second confusion user, which Escav would have loved to play into, even with a 2 shield disadvantage. So, really rough game. Honestly, I think this would have been a pretty straightforward win without the lag. And I was kind of pretty, like, you can see me quit there. I was pretty tilted out of that. Even if I'd taken another shield, Escav being able to get to 2 drill runs versus Empoleon, I don't know. I would have been able to take 2 shields or switch there. And either of them would have won me the game, I think. So, very frustrating, but we're going to see a Drift lead. This is awful for Toxicroak as well, but you swap into Escav and hope they switch out, which they did. So, similar situation here, right? We have the fighter come in, and I get the shield advantage, and I'm going to no shield, and it turns out I'm actually going to get a 2 shields. No, I'm not, because I overtapped. Jeez, yeah, so I think I was pretty tilted at this point. As long as I just press that button, I would get a second shield for sure. Instead, I'll just have to sell for farming down on Toxicroak. The energy is going to be kind of useless, because Drifblim resists everything. Yeah, very sad. But I'll throw the Sludge Bomb anyways. I think it hits for more than I expected. But obviously still not much. And I'm just waiting for them to throw an Icy Wind so that I can swap out. And hopefully my Obstagoon can sweep. I need to keep my Toxicroak alive, though, to clear Icy Wind debuffs for later. So, yeah, they do stay in, right? Throw the Icy Wind. I knew I was going to get debuffed. But luckily, it's a Shadow Gallade in the back, and I've got a 2 shield advantage. So, I just need to start hitting with these Night Slashes. Not getting any boosts, but that's okay. Right? You can't bank on the boosts. They're just a nice thing to have. Obviously, at this point, I'm just going to shield whatever comes from this Gallade. Gallade does a lot more damage than Drifblim does. And I'm saving this energy for when I can switch out my Obstagoon, so that's not debuffed anymore, right? So that's the main thing here, is I want these Night Slashes undebuffed versus this Drifblim. I don't want to have to deal with the Icy Wind debuff. They have a shield, right? So I want to get that out of the way right away. And I get the boost. So that's the danger of shielding the first one. I know they have Icy Wind, so technically they're playing it correctly. But if Obstagoon gets the boost, right, this next one is going to hit so much harder. And it's going to be able to take out Drifblim. If I didn't get the boost, I wouldn't have taken it out. But I would have been able to beat that Drifblim to the next move. So it would not have been that big of a deal. I think I still would have won. It just would have been a little bit closer. Next match. Oh my god, I made such a bad play in this one. They swapped right into their Gengar. I almost didn't even want to show this game. It's so bad. So this is just a lesson on counting your moves. So I shield the first one. Or I no shield the first one because I can tank a Sludge Bomb. But the count on Sludge Bomb isn't just 7 all the time. It goes down to 6. So I thought they threw a little bit early. And this was just a Shadow Punch. But it is definitely a Sludge Bomb. Yeah, if I had just shielded that, I would have been in a much better spot. But instead, my Toxicroak takes a ton of damage. It has a lot of energy, but now they're able to lock in not their Machamp against my Toxicroak. They lock in the Machamp anyways, which I guess is good for me. Like, I got a bit lucky there. But I throw the Mud Bomb again, really hoping to get those shields out of the way finally. And I probably should have swapped. This is the tilt, right? This is when you're not playing well, it snowballs. So instead of swapping out, like I really should have, I instead shielded Cross Chop. I don't know why I'm shielding anything from this Machamp at the start. Because I don't know what Pokemon is in the back, and it's an Empoleon. So I'm able to get to those 2 drill runs. And like I said, if I took that shield earlier, right? If I managed to take that shield on the Gengar with my Obstagoon, this game would have been a completely different one and probably would have just been over right there. But instead, I lose that one, unfortunately. Still a positive set, so can't be too upset about it. I think I gained, I don't know, like just over 100 points. Oh no, in 2 days, I've probably gained like nearly 200 points. With this team, it's been really solid and really fun. Like, I don't know, I find the counter animation and timing and stuff like that really satisfying to use. So if you guys have tried the triple counter team in Great League, then yeah, go ahead, give this one a try too. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, as always, I'll put my socials in the description as well, and I'll be streaming this team Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to stop by, have any questions about how to run, how to play certain situations, stop by and ask questions, and I'm always there and looking to help. So yeah, just check out the links in my description, and as always, guys, thanks for watching.